A private wealth management client with 2 million ounces of allocated silver got a call last Tuesday. The offer? $150 per ounce. Cash. Immediate settlement. No questions asked. The client told me the conversation lasted 4 minutes. The bank representative didn't negotiate, didn't explain, just offered 6 times spot price for immediate delivery. Silver is trading at $24. The bank offered $150. That's a $126 premium, a 525% markup over spot price. This is not normal market behavior. This is desperation disguised as a generous offer. Let me show you what's really happening. Let me show you who's making these offers and why. And let me show you what this tells us about the physical silver shortage that banks are facing right now. The offers started appearing in May, quietly at first. Wealth managers reaching out to high net worth clients with allocated silver positions. We have a buyer interested in acquiring physical silver. They're willing to pay a significant premium for immediate delivery. The premium started at $30 over spot. By June, they were at $60. Now we're seeing offers of $126 over a $24 spot price. These aren't retail dealers offering premiums on coins. This is different. These are institutional buyers, working through wealth management channels, targeting large holders of allocated physical silver. The minimum transaction sizes are typically 500,000 ounces. These are serious offers for serious quantities. But here's what makes it unusual. The offers come with conditions: immediate delivery, cash settlement within 48 hours, non-disclosure agreements. The buyers don't want publicity. They don't want the market to know they're paying these premiums. They definitely don't want other holders to know that 6 times spot offers exist. Who are the buyers? The NDAs prevent direct confirmation, but we can infer from the structure. The offers are coming through major wealth management platforms: JP Morgan Private Bank, UBS Wealth Management, Credit Suisse, now UBS Private Banking Division. These platforms don't typically facilitate commodity transactions. They manage equities, bonds, alternative investments. The fact that they're suddenly brokering physical silver deals tells you who the ultimate buyer is. It's the banks themselves. They're using their wealth management divisions to quietly acquire physical silver from their own clients and from clients of competing institutions. They're offering premiums that make no economic sense in normal market conditions, because market conditions aren't normal. Why would a bank pay $150 for silver trading at $24? Because they need physical metal to back derivative positions they can't close. They need it to fulfill allocated storage commitments they've overpromised. They need it to cover short positions before prices spike further. They need it now, and they're willing to pay whatever it takes to get it. Let me break down the math. If a bank has short derivative exposure that requires delivery of 10 million ounces, and they can't source that metal through normal channels, what do? Option 1, default on the derivative contracts, face legal liability, regulatory sanctions, and reputational damage. Option 2, pay whatever premium necessary to acquire the metal and deliver it. At $150 per ounce for 10 million ounces, that's $1.5 billion. Expensive. But if defaulting on derivatives would trigger broader cascade effects, regulatory intervention, and potential bank failure, then $1.5 billion to acquire the metal is the cheaper option. The banks are doing cost-benefit analysis. What costs more, paying massive premiums for physical metal or failing to deliver on commitments that could trigger systemic crisis? They're choosing to pay the premiums. That choice tells you how serious the delivery problem is. But it's not just about covering existing obligations. The banks are also trying to flip their positions. Remember, they're exiting short positions. One way to exit a short position is to buy the underlying asset. If you're short silver derivatives, you can close that exposure by acquiring physical silver that backs the derivatives. The problem is, there isn't enough physical silver available through normal channels at normal prices. COMEX registered stocks are at 193 million ounces, down from 287 million 6 months ago. That's the total available for delivery against all futures contracts. But there are over 150,000 open futures contracts representing 750 million ounces of notional exposure. The 193 million ounces can't cover the 750 million ounces of claims. So banks are going direct to large holders and offering premiums that would never exist in a properly functioning market. They're bypassing the exchange. They're bypassing dealers. They're going straight to the source because the normal supply channels are exhausted. Here's how we know the offers are real and not isolated incidents. Multiple independent sources have confirmed receiving similar approaches. A family office in Switzerland with 1.2 million ounces got an offer of $147. A mining company executive with personal holdings of 800,000 ounces was approached with $135. A hedge fund manager holding 2.3 million ounces received $153. The consistency of the premiums across different buyers, different locations, and different wealth management platforms suggests coordinated acquisition campaigns. This isn't one rogue bank. This is multiple institutions simultaneously trying to acquire physical silver at any price. The non-disclosure agreements are particularly telling. Why require NDAs? Because if word spreads that banks are paying 6 times spot, every holder will demand similar premiums. The banks are trying to keep the desperation quiet. They're trying to pick off large holders one at a time before the broader market realizes what's happening. But the strategy is failing. We're now seeing it. Other holders are finding out. The offers are becoming known. And that's creating a new dynamic. Holders who weren't planning to sell are reconsidering when they see 6 times spot offers. But holders who understand what the offers mean are refusing to sell at any premium. Because if banks are willing to pay $150 today, what will they pay in 3 months? What will they pay when industrial users start competing for the same limited physical supply? What will they pay when retail investors realize there's a shortage and start buying? What will they pay when the price naturally reaches the level that the premium already implies? The $150 offer tells you something critical. The bank making that offer believes silver will trade above $150 in the relatively near future. Otherwise, why pay $150 for an asset trading at $24? You only pay that premium if you believe you won't be able to buy it cheaper later, or if you need it immediately to prevent losses greater than the premium. This creates a paradox for sellers. The offer seems attractive. Sell at 6 times current price. But the offer also signals that the buyer knows something you don't. They know the shortage is real. They know prices are going higher. They know they need metal now before it's unavailable at any price. Some large holders are selling. The family office in Switzerland took the $147 offer. They decided that a 612% profit was sufficient, and the certainty of cash today outweighed the possibility of higher prices later. That's a rational decision for someone with a specific time horizon and liquidity needs. But others are refusing. The mining executive with 800,000 ounces turned down $135. His reasoning, if they're offering $135, the real value is higher. I'll wait. The hedge fund manager holding 2.3 million ounces is also holding. His calculation, the bank's desperation reveals more than the bank intended. This is creating a supply shortage within a supply shortage. The physical silver market already has structural deficit. Industrial demand exceeds mine production. But now, large holders who might have sold at modest premiums are holding because the size of the premium offers signals something bigger is coming. The banks needed to acquire metal quietly before the market realized there's a problem. But the size of the premiums they're offering is itself revealing the problem. They're stuck in a paradox. They need to pay high premiums to incentive sales, but high premiums signal desperation that causes holders to refuse to sell. Here's another dynamic that's developing. Some holders are accepting the offers, but replacing their physical silver immediately. They sell 500,000 ounces at $150. That's $75 million. They take that cash and immediately buy 1.5 million ounces of physical silver at current spot prices of around $25, including normal premiums. They've tripled their silver holdings while extracting cash from desperate banks. The banks may not realize this is happening. They acquire 500,000 ounces to cover positions. But that same seller just bought 1.5 million ounces through other channels, removing even more silver from the available supply. The bank's acquisition solved their immediate problem, but made the broader shortage worse. We're also seeing offers for allocated vault positions, not just physical silver. Banks are offering premiums to clients who hold silver in allocated storage. We'll pay you $60 over spot to transfer your allocated position to us. This is unusual because allocated storage is supposed to be specific serial numbered bars. But if banks are offering premiums for allocated positions, it suggests they need the serial numbers and certificates as much as the physical metal. Why? Because they've promised the same bars to multiple clients through the fractional reserve allocated storage system we exposed in another video. They need to reacquire bars with specific serial numbers to fulfill delivery requests from clients who are starting to ask questions. The premium offers for allocated positions are banks trying to unfractional their fractional reserve storage before clients discover the same bars were allocated multiple times. The desperation is also visible in the transaction timelines. Normal institutional commodity transactions take weeks. Legal review, compliance checks, settlement coordination, but these premium offers come with 48-hour cash settlement. The banks are willing to pay massive premiums for metal they need immediately, not metal they can wait weeks to acquire. This tells you the timeline is compressed. They don't have weeks, they have days. Something is forcing urgency. Maybe it's derivative settlement dates. Maybe it's client delivery requests they can't fulfill. Maybe it's margin calls requiring physical collateral. Whatever the trigger, the 48-hour settlement requirement reveals they're in crisis mode. There's also geographic variation in the offers. Offers in Switzerland are consistently higher than offers in the US. Switzerland, $147. US, $135. Singapore, $142. The variation suggests different urgency levels in different jurisdictions, or different availability of supply. Switzerland traditionally has large private holdings of physical precious metals. The higher offers there might reflect banks targeting the jurisdiction most likely to have large available quantities. They're willing to pay the Swiss premium because that's where the metal is most likely to exist in the quantities they need. The offers are also coming to holders through multiple channels simultaneously. The same holder might receive an approach through their wealth manager, a separate approach through a commodities broker, and a third approach through a private banking relationship. Different offers from different channels, but all targeting the same silver. This confirms multiple banks are competing for the same limited supply of physical metal. What does this mean for you? If you're holding physical silver and you receive one of these offers, you need to understand what the offer reveals. It's not generosity. It's not a market opportunity for you to profit. It's desperation from an institution that needs your metal to prevent a larger problem. The question becomes, if they're willing to pay $150 today to prevent a larger problem, what does that larger problem look like? What price does silver reach when the problem they're trying to prevent actually happens? And if that price is substantially higher than $150, why would you sell at $150? The banks are offering 6 times spot price for immediate physical silver delivery. That's not a premium, that's a distress signal. And the fact that they're trying to hide it behind NDAs and private channels tells you they know that if the market understands what these offers mean, the remaining supply will disappear entirely. Banks are offering $150 per ounce for silver, trading at $24. They're doing it quietly, they're doing it urgently, and they're doing it because they can't afford not to. The question is whether you understand what that desperation reveals about what's coming next.